The first thing I noticed was how carefully he chose his glass. Crystal, not the everyday ones, always performed importance with objects. We were 30 people deep into the living room, cousins balancing plates, aunts complimenting the catered food, my sister glowing in that effortless way she has when she's certain she belongs somewhere, had already started calculating my exit. Holiday gatherings with my family operate on an unspoken rule: speak less, concede more. Father stood. He didn't clear his throat. He didn't need to. Conversations thinned automatically around him. He began with gratitude for legacy, for hard work, for the family name. He praised my sister's public leadership, how she had represented the company at conferences, how she had carried our brand forward. I nodded. None of that was untrue. Pivoted. In recognition of that, he said, lifting the glass slightly toward her, your brother will be surrendering his shares so that ownership reflects contribution. The word surrendering hung in the room like an administrative fact, not a proposal, not a discussion. A few relatives clapped, hesitant, confused. My sister's smile faltered at the edges. I waited for him to glance at me. He didn't. Something inside me searched for context. Been an email, a draft, a conversation I'd missed. My mind raced through board meetings, past arguments, finished negotiations. Nothing. I heard myself say evenly, absolutely not. The room went quiet in a way that felt heavier than shouting. My father looked at me as if I'd misunderstood a weather report. It's already decided, he said. This is about what's best for the family. He used that tone he reserves for finality, the same one he used when I was 12 and wanted to quit piano. The assumption that resistance is immaturity. My first instinct was old and familiar: minimize. Don't embarrass him. Don't fracture the room. Don't be the difficult son. This wasn't about hurt feelings. It was about legal ownership of a company I co-founded. Shares structured deliberately, over time, negotiated in rooms where my father was not present. I didn't argue. I texted 3 lines to my corporate attorney: you nearby. I need you here. Bring the operating agreement. Then I put my phone face down on the table. My father resumed speaking, as though momentum could override dissent. He talked about unity, about consolidating leadership, about how I'd understand eventually. Conversations restarted in low, strained murmurs. My aunt leaned toward me and whispered, "This is easier in the long run." Easier for whom? I didn't ask. My sister approached quietly. "No, he was going to say it like that," she said. "Like what?" I asked. "Like it was done." Her voice held something complicated: guilt, maybe, or fear of being positioned as the beneficiary of something she hadn't requested outright. 20 minutes can feel like an hour when your autonomy is being publicly narrated. The doorbell rang. No one moved at first, stood and walked to the entryway. When I opened the door, she was there, coat still on, hair slightly wind-tossed, leather folder tucked under her arm. "You said urgent," she said. I nodded. We walked back into the living room together. My father's posture shifted almost imperceptibly when he saw her. He knew who she was. He had met her once during due diligence 2 years earlier. He had not liked that meeting. "Apologize for the interruption," she said calmly to the room. "I understand there's been an announcement regarding a transfer of shares." No one responded. She opened the folder on the dining table. The sound of paper sliding against wood felt louder than it should have. "Operating agreement," she continued, voice steady and unembellished, "requires written consent from all equity holders for any involuntary transfer. It also requires independent valuation and board approval." She turned a page and angled it toward my father. As of this moment, none of those conditions have been met. There was no accusation in her tone, just fact. My father stared at the document, hand tightened around his glass, then relaxed. He didn't argue the language. He didn't challenge her interpretation, simply didn't look up. The shift wasn't dramatic. No one gasped, no one applauded, but something structural changed in that silence. The narrative of inevitability dissolved. What had been presented as tradition was now exposed as assumption. My sister stepped back, not toward him, just back. My attorney closed the folder gently. If there are proposals to amend ownership, she said, they can be scheduled through proper channels. Proper channels. The phrase settled into the room like a boundary drawn in ink. Guests began collecting coats soon after. Conversations were brief. Eyes avoided mine in a different way now, not dismissive, but unsettled. My father remained seated. When I passed him on my way to the door, he still hadn't lifted his gaze. Feel victorious. I felt clear. The shares remained where they had always legally been. Nothing transferred. Nothing signed. Company structure unchanged. But the family structure, something in it had cracked. On the drive home, thought about how easy it would have been to stay quiet, to preserve the illusion of harmony, to let a toast become reality. Instead, chose documentation over deference. I don't know what the next holiday will look like. Only know that when my father stood to define my future without me, he learned that some decisions require more than a raised glass.